Let's unpack those movements now. We've got Joseph Busha from JM Busha Investments who joins us this evening. Thank you, as always, for joining us, Mr. Busha. And let's start off with that trading day we saw on the JSE. Some nice support coming through from the resources. Industrials not doing too badly today. The likes of Sasol around 6% during the trading day today. What would you say were some of the other contributors to the positive movements we saw on the JSE?
So in particular, I mean, if we focus on Sasol, this is basically on the back of OPEC countries, which are 13 member states in the OPEC. That says they're going to reduce their production by about 1 million barrels per day. Remember, in February, they reduced that by about 2 million barrels per day. So this is really wasn't expected. But I think what's going on really is this will boost Russia in terms of their revenues and all the oil-producing countries. So hence Sasol was up 6% today, just responding to that, because higher prices means basically higher revenues for them, and also given where the rand is. Which has actually been very buoyant over the last 1 week or so. We've moved from about 1850 to about 1780 to the dollar, where it is now. And I guess this started when our governor increased rates by 50 basis points.
Yeah, and it comes at a time, Mr. Busha, when the price of Brent crude has surged over the last couple of days or so. And of course, there have been some pronouncements from OPEC. But let's talk about that, because we're not going to benefit from the stronger rand that we've seen over the last week, as you say, because of this Brent price. What pushed it up as much as it did?
So it will basically negate any increase in oil prices will negate the strength of the rand. The average price for Brent crude last year was about 95. So currently we're sitting just about 80. And I think those countries, obviously, they need to collect more revenue like we've done here. And oil is quite a crucial part of their revenue generation. In terms of the rand strength, when we increase our rates by 50 basis points, the expectation was 25 basis points. But I think what that does then is tame inflation, because I think the governor is worried that inflation might remain stubbornly high, and hence we need to tame it early so that it does not basically get out of control, but goes back into the mid-range between 3 and 6% of the target. So I think that was really just positive to the news. You also certainly saw that the banks have done very well. Today the financials are up more than 1%, just outperforming basically the overall market.
Yeah, and let's speak about, we'll continue rather with revenue. SARS, they really exceeding last year's collections. The fiscal year that they were reporting on, about 1.6 trillion rand that they've been able to collect for the fiscus. Your thoughts on that and some of the challenges around compliance and load shedding that the Commissioner, Edward Kieswetter, spoke about in his address earlier on?
Well, despite that, I think, this is the largest in history, as you said.
Yes.
The refunds also to taxpayers is about 400 billion, 381 to be specific. So this is very, very good, I think, for us in terms of their systems working. I think coming out of COVID and our situation, for them to be able to collect that much, I think that's a fantastic job. Certainly, they could have done far much better had all the businesses firing on all cylinders, given the stoppages and the cost to business as people buy diesel or run generators to be able to keep their factories, their businesses running. So it could have been far much better. But 1.6 trillion rands, I think that is fantastic, and it's a record, as the Commissioner says. Despite all those constraints, certainly Eskom being at the center of them.
Finally, some company update. Advanced Health, they run a lot of the clinics in the country, but also internationally. But they announced in their interim results, that they are getting rid of their Australia business to focus on the development of their local clinics here in South Africa. And that obviously not having a great immediate impact on their numbers. But your thoughts on that long-term outlook and the strategy that they've now put out to the investor?
So sometimes local is lekker. You know that some of the South African companies that went overseas have been banned. They haven't done very well. So their profit after tax coming at about 50% down, despite the fact that their revenue might have been up. They also improved in terms of their headline earnings per share, losses per share, about 86%. But overall, when you look in terms of companies, really just about the profitability, which is down 50%. And I guess this is really just saying let's possibly focus and conquer SFS and do the best they can to compete with some of the providers here, Netcare, Life Healthcare, and so on. So I think for me, this is just regrouping and looking at their strategies first and understand or focus on the market that understands best, which is really South Africa. But the improvement in terms of the headline earnings per share might certainly make shareholders happy, although there's no dividend this year. But certainly an improvement is an improvement. But they need to make sure that all the lines, your profit after tax, your gross revenue is up. So I think it's just efficiencies they need to come into.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for those insights. As always, Mr. Joseph Busha from JM Busha Investments joining us to wrap up the market day that was. And that's